and everything that we said was short term. Challenge, the challenge that I have is this: what happens after? I'm creating a hypothetical. What happens after a year if that buyer you're doing the seller financing defaults on the loan, right, and it goes back to you? Then you have two mortgages that you're responsible for. And all I was saying, because you're still liable for that. I know in terms of the short term, in terms of this house being built, does work. That's actually do a great deal in the commercial real estate. That's just called a lease back, right? That's purchased with a lease back. But the question is, what happens down the line when, or not saying when, if the buyer defaults on the house?
Oh, at any time.
Yes.
8 months, 10
yes.
months, 12 months.
Yes. Personally, the only way I would agree with it is, well, in ethics is your piece, but the only way I would agree with it is if you put a stipulation that he must sell by, because you're still liable for the house until the entirety of the loan is paid off, principal and interest. That buyer now, the person who bought it, if you're doing seller finance, he still has rights to the house. He can leverage off the house. He can, like you say, put a renter in, or a lot of times they could sell out from underneath. You're still liable. So now you're liable for two homes. And that can be, heavy at that price point, heavy on your budget. That's the only concern that I had. That you have a dual liability, but actually you're living in one house. And the buyer has rights to the house, but no liability of the loan.
Okay. And then in this situation, so even if there was a house must sell by, is the stipulation that the house must sell by X date, or the rights come back to us for the house? They just have to take over assume the loan at that point.
You could do. I mean, in real estate, you could do that. In real estate, you go through an attorney. Everything's negotiable, and if it's legal, then it can be done. That can be done. You could put a performance clause, in the contract to do that. I have, as your fiduciary, is making sure you don't go into a contract where you have dual liability. Don't, now and everything works while it's working. But in the case that they default, now you have that dual liability, and at the price point we're talking about, it's a heavy load. It's a heavy load.
It's not $100,000.
No, it's not $100,000. So now you got $1 million. You personally, you have $1 million worth of liability. You got, a young family, and that's a lot on a man. And so I'm saying, I understand there are ways to do it. And if everybody did business honestly, ethically, and straightforward, then it would be no fear. I don't want you to get in that type of liability where, and I know I'm very risk averse, and you're a big hitter, and I just want to get on base, and I know you're a big Frank Thomas home run hitter. You just swing it.